The stone also struck the feet. It struck which empire? The Greek or the Roman Empire? The Roman Empire. So already, if you know this, you should be able to solve half of the problem of false prophecy out there in the world that says that the Antichrist will arise or arose in the past in the time of Greece. No, no, no. The Bible does not say that. The Bible says he arises once Rome is divided into its components. That's what the Bible says. And he rules until the Ancient of Days comes. Is he around here now? Well, must he be here? Sure, he must be here. Are people waiting for him? Sure, what for? He's here. We shouldn't have to wait. We should just be able to say, there he is. That's very interesting. So, he shall be different from the first. So the flavor of the fourth beast is made different by whom? By him. Why different? And he is the one that's responsible for removing 3 whole kingdoms. Well, you remember the kingdoms, the Anglo-Saxons, the Franks, the Alemanni, the Lombards, the Ostrogoths, the Heruli, the Burgundians, the Visigoths, the Suevi, and the Vandals. Those were the 10. But there were some terribly opposed to this power. Number 1, the Heruli, AD 493. Look where they ruled. Look where they ruled. Now, these people had an interesting philosophy. And this philosophy differed substantially from the philosophy of this other little horn power. Now, unfortunately, we have no historic documents as to what the Heruli believed. Neither do we have any historic documents as to what the Ostrogoths believed. We have a little bit of what the Vandals believed, but none of their religious documentation. Why not? Because it has all been destroyed. So we only have information from those second-hand. Apparently, history tells us today that these 3 powers that were removed were Arian in their view. In other words, that they taught that Jesus was not God and therefore had to be removed. But there is really no evidence for that whatsoever, other than second-hand information by the very power that destroyed them. There's far more interesting evidence that these powers that were destroyed actually had a different gospel. A gospel that was derived from Palestine and was a much truer reflection of the biblical than any other. So is it perhaps possible that they had a Christianity derived directly from the original source, and that they therefore had to be removed? It's a distinct possibility. There's quite a lot of research that has been done on it, and I'm not averse to that idea at all. So they were destroyed 493 AD. Now, if this creature, this fourth one, this new power arose amongst them, then he must have arisen already before 493. The next one to go were the Vandals, AD 534. They plagued the Roman Empire, and they subjected large parts of the religious culture of the Byzantine and Roman world. They subjected it ferociously. And so eventually the Vandals were also destroyed by the armies of the Eastern Empire. And then came the Ostrogoths. They were the last ones. The Ostrogoths ruled until 538 AD, and they occupied first this area and later occupied and controlled the whole of the ancient Roman capital and surrounding areas. And the Ostrogoths also had a gospel derived, as we said, from ancient Palestine. So they had to be removed. They were tolerant of all other religions, but they were a thorn in the flesh of the little horn power, and eventually they were destroyed with the help, amongst others, of the Franks up here, who made an alliance with the kings of Constantinople, with the Caesars. And so in 538 AD, the opposition to the little horn power disappeared, and it rose like a mushroom. So the Alemanni, the remnant of the 10, the Germans today, the Burgundians, the Swiss, the Franks, the French, the Lombards, the Italians, the Saxons, the English, the Suevi, the Portuguese, the Visigoths, the Spanish, and the Heruli, the Vandals, and the Ostrogoths are eliminated, totally destroyed. In fact, these were not the only ones that waged war against, though. No. The Visigoths, for example, probably being very much related to the Ostrogoths, had similar sentiments, and there were many, many wars fought and much subjugation over here before these came in line with the thinking of the little horn power as well. The greatest ally of the little horn power was the Franks, who are today the French, and the first one to adopt this robe upon himself was Clovis. And Clovis will go down in history as the man who more than any other helped the little horn power to come to fruition. Daniel 7 verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. So Daniel is watching the events down here on earth, which all seem to revolve around this little horn power, and he sees a great judgment scene taking place in heaven. Verse 10 says, the judgment was set and the books were opened. So here is a judgment scene. And I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man, come with the clouds of heaven. That's an acronym for angels. We'll see that in a later lecture. And came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. Verse 13. So this is not the coming of Christ to this earth. This is a scene that takes place in heaven as the little horn power sets up his domain here on this earth, so the judgment is ready to sit in the heavenly realm. And there was given him, this is the Son of Man, dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all the people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Verse 14. So we have a contrast over here. On the one hand, you have a kingdom being set up on earth whose seat and power lies in the little horn power. And on the other hand, you have a judgment taking place where all power will be given to Christ. So we have two powers opposed to each other. Christ, the ultimate victor in the end, and the Antichrist, working against each other. The one setting up a kingdom upon this earth, the other one setting up the eternal kingdom that will never be destroyed. And the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Daniel 7 verse 18. Beautiful symbolism. Very powerful stuff.